One of the drawbacks for the Florida Panthers this season was a lack of depth scoring in their forward corps, a top-heavy group with 4 65-point scorers but missing enough consistency to provide stable wingers for Vincent Trocheck. On the season, Trocheck started a game with more than 20 different line combinations during the 82-game season. He played with just one line for more than 2 total hours. Teammate Aleksander Barkov, meanwhile, had the luxury of playing with 2 separate lines for at least 6 hours. Here's a quick overview of Florida's 3 most used lines this season. All numbers are at 5-on-5 and via natural stat trick. Point 1. Evgeny Dadonov, Aleksander Barkov, Nick Bjugstad, 6 hours, 10 minutes and 39 seconds. The good? This line did so many good things this season, but the biggest plus might have been what they did for the rest of the Panthers lineup. When coach Bob Bowner split up Barkov and Jonathan Huberdeau around the All-Star break, it deepened the Florida forwards and allowed Bjugstad to take ownership of a top-line role. Bjugstad, no doubt with lots of help from Dadonov and Barkov, responded by posting a career season with 19 goals, 18 at even strength, and 30 assists. As a line, Dadonov, Barkov and Bjugstad compared favorably with some of the best lines in the NHL, possession-wise. Their advanced stats were in the same realm as Boston's Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak line in Vegas, Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, Riley Smith. They were best at creating and preventing scoring chances. When Dadonov, Barkov and Bjugstad were on the ice, the Panthers had an absurd 59.1% of scoring chances and 57.1% of high-danger chances. Those would be impressive by themselves, but then you factor in where they started their shifts. Only 44.2% of their face-offs came in the offensive zone, a result of Barkov's above-average face-off abilities and elite defensive skills. They were also on the ice for 55.7% of shot attempts, 55.8% of shots on goal and 62.2% of goals for. Now think about the defensive pairing they played with most of the time, and it again becomes apparent how good this line was. They played the majority of time with Keith Yandle and Aaron Ekblad, whose possession numbers were below average pretty much across the board. This line also drew 18 more penalties than it committed. They were a big reason behind Florida's second-half resurgence, deepening the lineup and scoring goals off the rush. The bad? There is not a whole lot to nitpick about this line, but there are a couple smaller items. This line was so good that Bowner relied on them to play heavy minutes almost every night, potentially contributing to the lull in Barkov's game late in the season. Bjugstad was also one of the Panthers' best offensive players at 5-on-5 this season, but probably could have been even better putting the puck in the net. He led Florida in shot attempts, shots on goal, scoring chances and high-danger scoring chances despite ranking 8th on the team in total ice time at 5-on-5.2. Jonathan Huberdeau, Aleksander Barkov, Evgeny Dadonov, 6 hours 5 minutes and 0 seconds. The good? While the Dadonov-Barkov-Bjugstad line started in the second half of the season, it was this one that the Panthers truly envisioned dominating the league. Florida signed Dadonov in the summer to replace Jaromir Jagr on the right of Huberdeau and Barkov, and the three instantly found chemistry that resulted in a fun, explosive line at the start of the season. At one point in October, this line scored 8 5-on-5 goals across a 4-game span, including a 4-goal outburst against Tampa Bay on October 30. It was the first time 3 Panthers combined for 10 points in a loss. In addition to being one of, if not the best offensive lines for the Panthers, it was the most successful defensive one, as well. No Florida line allowed fewer shot attempts per 60 minutes or shots on goal per 60 minutes than Huberdeau, Barkov and Dadonov. All of their possession numbers hovered around 55%. This group also sowed the seeds for the Barkov-Dadonov connection that became key later in the season and likely into next year as well. The bad? Because 3 of Florida's best 4 forwards were on one line, it left Vincent Trocheck all alone on the second line. Rotated through a cast of wingers that included players such as Dryden Hunt, Radim Vrbata, Connor Brickley, Jamie McGinn and Henrik Haapala as Bowner searched for the right fit for the Panthers' leading goal scorer. Because the top line was so good and the second one was not, it became easier for teams to match up against Huberdeau, Barkov and Dadonov, especially on the road. All 3 players also had a tendency to overpass and set up teammates instead of shooting the puck, resulting in missed opportunities around the net. Point 3. Michael Haley, Derek McKenzie, Colton Sceviour, 5 hours 11 minutes and 40 seconds. The good? The Panthers' fourth line didn't average a lot of ice time per game, but they were the most steady line combination this season, starting 54 games together. Bowner didn't ask Haley, McKenzie and Scavier to contribute heavily on offense, but they held their own in the defensive zone. They were only behind Huberdeau Barkov, Dadonov in terms of both suppressing shot attempts and limiting shots on goal. Part of the reason Bowner preferred this line's construction was because they were sound and responsible in his systems, making up for their shortcomings in the offensive zone. The Panthers also owned 51.0% of shots on goal when Haley, McKenzie and Scavier were on the ice. The rest of this line's possession numbers were subpar, with 48.7% of shot attempts, 44.4% of goals and 44.9% of scoring chances, despite favorable zone starts. They took 60.5% of draws in the offensive zone. Their inclusion in the lineup also, at times, blocked younger, more skilled players from entering the fray. Dennis Malgin, Henrik Borgstrom, Jared McCann, Maxim Maimon, Henrik Haapala and Owen Tippett were all healthy scratches at some point this season as Haley, McKenzie and Scavier remained in the lineup. This line also had the worst penalty differential on the team, taking 9 more penalties than they drew. Like the Panthers. Like our Florida Panthers Facebook page to keep up with the latest news. Caption MD Franks at sun-sentinel.com, on Twitter @MidFranks.